The Haunted Portrait. Chapter 1, The Auction. The antique auction had some of the most stunning pieces of art that anyone had ever seen. But there was one painting that stood out from the rest. It was a portrait of a woman, dressed in a red gown, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to follow you wherever you went. The painting was said to be cursed, but that only made it more valuable to those who believed in the paranormal. One wealthy collector, Mr. Barnes, was determined to have the painting. He outbid everyone else, and soon the painting was his. As he took it home and hung it on his wall, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the painting. The woman's eyes seemed to bore into his soul, and he could feel a chill run down his spine. Little did Mr. Barnes know, but the painting was possessed by a malevolent spirit that was ready to take over anyone who dared to get too close to it. Chapter 2, The Unveiling. Mr. Barnes invited some of his closest friends over to show off his latest acquisition. As they entered the room, they all stopped in their tracks and stared at the painting. The woman's eyes seemed to be even more intense than before, and they all felt a sense of unease. One of the guests, a renowned art critic, stepped closer to the painting to get a better look. Suddenly, the painting seemed to come alive. The woman in the portrait smiled, and her eyes began to glow. The art critic's body jerked, and he stumbled back, as if something had taken over him. The others were shocked, but they couldn't look away. The painting was like nothing they had ever seen before. They all knew that something was wrong with it, but they were all drawn to it, like moths to a flame. They would soon learn that the painting was not just cursed, but it was also a gateway to another realm. Chapter 3, The Research. After the incident at the unveiling, Mr. Barnes became increasingly worried about the painting. He started doing research, trying to find out more about the artist and the history of the painting. He discovered that the artist, a man named Edgar Sinclair, had a reputation for being interested in the occult. As he delved deeper into the history of the painting, he learned that it had been owned by several people over the years, and each had met with a tragic end. Some had died under mysterious circumstances, while others had simply vanished without a trace. Mr. Barnes knew that he had to do something about the painting before it was too late. He contacted a team of paranormal investigators, hoping that they could help him break the curse. But little did he know that they were about to uncover something far more sinister than they ever could have imagined. Chapter 4, The Possession. The paranormal investigators arrived at Mr. Barnes' home and immediately set to work. They conducted a series of tests and experiments, trying to understand the nature of the curse that had taken hold of the painting. As they worked, they began to feel a strange presence in the house. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut, and strange whispers filled the air. Then, one of the investigators suddenly began to act strangely. His eyes turned black, and he spoke in a voice that was not his own. The team realized that the painting had possessed the investigator, and they immediately tried to break the connection. But the possessed man was too strong, and he attacked them with a sudden ferocity that took them all by surprise. They managed to subdue him, but they knew that they had to act quickly. The painting was growing stronger with every passing moment, and they feared that it would soon be too late to stop it. They needed to find a way to destroy the painting and break the curse once and for all. Chapter 5, The Haunting. After the possessed investigator was safely removed from the house, the team continued their investigation. But they soon realized that the painting was not the only thing that was haunted. The house itself was filled with a malevolent energy, and it seemed that the painting had brought something else with it. Strange noises filled the air at all hours of the day and night. Objects continued to move on their own, and the team felt as though they were being watched at all times. They began to feel as though they were losing their grip on reality, and they feared that they too would become possessed by the cursed painting. Despite their fears, the team pressed on, determined to find a way to destroy the painting and put an end to the haunting. But as they delved deeper into the history of the painting and the house, they realized that they were in over their heads. The painting had a dark and ancient power, and it seemed that nothing could stop it. Chapter 6, The Sacrifice. As the team struggled to find a way to stop the cursed painting, they realized that they had to take drastic action. They knew that destroying the painting was the only way to break the curse, but they were afraid that they would not be able to do it on their own. After much discussion, they decided to seek out a group of experts in the occult. They hoped that these experts would have the knowledge and expertise to help them destroy the painting and break the curse. When the experts arrived, they immediately recognized the painting's dark and powerful energy. They knew that destroying it would require a powerful sacrifice, but they were hesitant to go through with it. They knew that the sacrifice would have to be one of their own, and they were not sure that they could bring themselves to do it. After much debate, one of the experts finally stepped forward. He knew that he had to make the ultimate sacrifice to save the others, and he was willing to do it. With a heavy heart, he stepped forward and allowed the painting to possess him. As the possessed expert began to wreak havoc, the team realized that they had to act quickly. They were able to subdue him, and they destroyed the painting once and for all. The curse was broken, and the house was finally free of the dark and malevolent energy that had plagued it for so long. Chapter 7: The New Owner. After the cursed painting had been destroyed, the team breathed a sigh of relief. They were finally able to leave the house and return to their normal lives. But they knew that they could never forget what had happened there. The house was put up for sale, and it wasn't long before a new owner came forward. She was a young woman who had just inherited a large sum of money from a distant relative. She had always dreamed of owning a large and beautiful home, and this house seemed like the perfect fit. But as soon as she moved in, strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own, and she heard strange noises in the night. She began to feel as though she was being watched at all times, and she feared for her safety. One day, she discovered a hidden room in the basement. As she explored the room, she found a small painting tucked away in a corner. It was a beautiful and intricate painting, but as she looked at it, she began to feel a strange and ominous energy emanating from it. She soon realized that the painting was cursed, and that the dark energy that had once inhabited the house had returned. She knew that she had to find a way to destroy the painting and break the curse once and for all. But as she struggled to find a way to do it, she began to fear that she would never be able to escape the house's dark and haunted past. Chapter 8: The Exorcism. The new owner knew she had to act quickly to break the curse on the house. She contacted a local priest who was known to be an expert in exorcisms and demonic possessions. The priest arrived at the house with a team of assistants, armed with holy water, crosses, and other religious artifacts. They set up in the living room, and the new owner led them to the cursed painting. As soon as the priest laid eyes on the painting, he knew that it was the source of the evil in the house. He began to perform the exorcism ritual, chanting prayers and holding up crosses as he moved closer to the painting. But as he got closer, the painting began to move. The eyes of the subject in the painting seemed to follow the priest's movements, and the brushstrokes seemed to writhe and twist on the canvas. The exorcism continued, and the priest became more and more forceful in his prayers. Suddenly, the painting shook violently and fell off the wall. As it hit the ground, it shattered into 1,000 pieces. The room was filled with an intense light, and a loud scream echoed through the house. When the light faded and the scream died away, the priest knew that the curse had been broken. He blessed the house and the new owner, telling her that she could finally live in peace. As the team packed up and left the house, the new owner breathed a sigh of relief. She knew that the dark energy that had haunted the house for so long was gone, and that she could finally call it her home. Chapter 9: The Final Confrontation. The new owner thought she was finally free of the cursed painting, but she was wrong. She soon discovered that one of the painting's shards had lodged itself in her foot, and she couldn't get it out. The wound refused to heal, and it began to fester and spread. As the infection grew worse, the new owner began to have terrible nightmares. She dreamed of the subject in the painting, a grotesque figure with glowing eyes and twisted features. The figure seemed to be calling to her, beckoning her to join it in the darkness. The new owner tried to ignore the nightmares, but they only grew more intense. She knew that she had to face the source of the curse once and for all, or she would be lost forever. She gathered all of the remaining pieces of the painting, including the shard that had infected her foot. She burned them in a bonfire in the backyard, hoping that the flames would destroy the cursed energy that lingered in the painting. As the fire roared, the new owner felt a sudden pain in her foot. She looked down to see that the shard had finally come loose, but something else was happening. The dark energy of the painting was seeping out of the ground, forming a twisted figure that towered over her. The new owner faced the figure, armed only with her courage and her will to survive. She stood her ground as the figure lunged at her, and she fought back with all her strength. Finally, with one last burst of energy, she vanquished the figure and destroyed the curse once and for all. She collapsed to the ground, exhausted but victorious. The curse had been lifted, and she was finally free. Chapter 10: The Legacy. Years passed, and the cursed painting became nothing more than a distant memory. The new owner had moved on with her life, but she never forgot the terror she had faced. One day, she received a call from a stranger who had heard about her experience with the painting. The stranger explained that they had recently inherited a similar painting from a relative and were experiencing similar haunting nightmares. The new owner knew what she had to do. She met with the stranger and shared her story, offering her support and guidance. Together, they burned the painting and destroyed the cursed energy, just as she had done years before. Word spread of the new owner's bravery, and others who had experienced similar hauntings began to seek her out. She became a beacon of hope for those who were tormented by the supernatural, helping them to overcome their fears and find peace. The legacy of the cursed painting lived on, but now it was one of triumph and courage. The new owner had taken her terrifying experience and turned it into something positive, offering hope to others who faced similar horrors. And though she knew that the curse could never truly be erased, she was comforted by the fact that she had played a part in breaking its hold on the world.